We're going to encounter struggles in our lives, and they can be small, they can be large. We can solve them using our wisdom, using our persistence, using good judgment, but we can also have divine intervention. And I think that last one, that fourth one that I just described, divine intervention, is something we almost never use unless it's a very urgent, very last minute thing. There's nothing else I can do but pray. There's nothing else that I can do but rely on God. And sadly, that's too often the case for us, myself included. And I want to tell you about one time of many that I've had a divine intervention. And we prayed for it, and he appeared. He's always around us, but at that time he appeared. I'm Gene, and on this channel we talk about overcoming struggles. In 2016, August in fact, it'll be 10 years next month, that I was lying in bed reading the Word, the Bible, from my phone, and the words weren't looking right. And I thought, gosh, there's got to be something wrong with the app. I'll just have to take care of it tomorrow. And so I went to sleep. The next morning I got up, went out into the dining room where my lovely wife was sitting, and I told her what had happened, and she said, well, let me see your phone. And then she gave it back to me, and she said, read what it is you're seeing there. And so I began to read, and somehow my brain wasn't looking at those words as they were. And she said I was stumbling on the words, and it sounded like I was, a 5-year-old who's just learning how to read. And she said, well, there's something wrong. I kind of resisted that thought, but she persisted. There's persistence. And we went to the hospital. The doctor took some images and did an imaging process, in fact. I think it must have been an MRI at that point. And he came out, reported to us, and he said, very shyly, nice guy, but very interesting response. And he said, well, there's something wrong, something off in your head. And we said, well, what's that? I had no idea what exactly he was talking about at that point, but he said, well, let me show you. And he turned his computer around, and we looked at the screen, and there was a walnut-sized tumor in my head in the parietal occipital area, right about in this area right here. And we said, well, what do we do about it? And he said, well, you're going to need surgery. And he leaned over to us, and he said very quietly, he says, I can't really say this out loud, but you have to go to St. Joseph's, which was another hospital down in downtown Phoenix. We were up in Glendale at that point. But he said that very quietly, like it was a secret or like he wasn't supposed to be saying it. So we went down to St. Joseph's, and en route we called my daughter, I should say my wife called my daughter, and she told her what was happening. And she said, well, it's very interesting. A young man in our church had just had a brain surgery, had a tumor, and he was at St. Joseph's, and there was a doctor there by the name of Porter. And the result was excellent. The young man came out, everything was fine. So we were just very happy about that. You might look for Dr. Porter when you get there. Well, we got there. Dr. Porter was the guy who was on duty at the time. So he looked at the imaging. He said, yeah, that's a tumor, and we're going to have to take it out. And so we were scheduled for a surgery on Monday. This is a Saturday. So I was admitted, and Sunday morning, very early in the morning, I think probably around 6:30 or 7, he started getting me prepped up, or his crew did, and I said to the doctor, I said, can we pray about this? I said, are you a praying man? And he said, yes, I am. He said, yes, we can. So as I went into the theater, my wife was still with me on the gurney, and he said Gene wanted prayer. So all of his staff gathered around us, and they all prayed for me. And I said, how long is this going to take? And he said, oh, probably 3 or 4 hours. And so we said, okay. And at that point then, I went under. And I didn't know how long it had taken. I was rolled out and I was just waking up, and my wife was next to me and she was kind of surprised. She says, well, that was quick. And I said, well, how fast was it? And she said it was 48 minutes. 48 minutes, how could that be? And so the doctor came out. He explained that when he had opened my skull up, that the tumor had popped out, literally popped out. And his assisting surgeon said it actually made the sound of like a cork as it came out. Amazing, amazing thing, totally a miracle. And he said, I've never seen anything like that. It's just an amazing thing. And that was the end of that tumor. It wasn't the end of my process. They had me go through some immunotherapy after that. But basically, that tumor popping out like that, and he closed me up. Actually, he had to put 2 titanium bridges in to keep my skull together when he put it back together. And including that, from start to finish, 48 minutes. An incredible thing, a miracle. And what I want to say is, you don't have to have the brain tumor. And since then, we've been particularly attentive to looking for divine interference, we can call it, or divine help. And I just want to say to everybody, look for that, expect that, pray for that if you're a praying person. And if not, have your friends or your believers pray for it. But God shows up. And that's certainly a way to overcome a struggle, isn't it? Well, I thank you for listening, and I look forward to our next time together. Sign up and give me a comment, and I appreciate you. Thanks very much. See you next time.